how do you keep a business profitable when you are grieving? Today, I will show you the exact way I keep my revenue and my energy during loss without pretending that everything is fine. In my professional experience, I work as a therapist and as a clinical psychologist. I had many clients who were navigating the season of grief and loss. And also in my coaching practice, I had clients who had to navigate grief as they were running their business. And the thing is, their business was the only source of income. So they couldn't just fail. They couldn't just put their business on pause. They had to navigate it. So today we're going to talk about how to navigate waves of grief. We're going to talk about ego states, what ego states are, and how to utilize your ego states effectively to navigate grief. And we're also going to talk about how to install minimum viable business model into your business until your capacity returns. See, when we talk about grief, we often associate grief with a loss of a person, a loss of a family member or a loved one, or sometimes a loss even a pet. But what if I told you that we experience grief without even realizing it when we're losing an opportunity, a business opportunity, that offer that used to be profitable and not profitable anymore? When we're going through a breakup or a divorce, when our relationships are falling apart, when our launches are not performing well, when we're losing unemployment or career. Because I know so many entrepreneurs started their business from the place of grief and trauma when something happened with their corporate life, they couldn't handle it anymore, and they started their businesses. And the most important thing to understand about grief is that when you are grieving, either people go into overworking, overperforming, jumping into rash decisions, overpromising, or they're ghosting their business, they're ghosting themselves, they're self-abandoning themselves and their business, and they go silent. And either path will result in the loss of profit. So, how do we deal with all that? So, first of all, I want to mention something about the 5 stages of grief. We all know from general psychology that there are 5 stages of grief. Denial, when we deny that we lost the grief, we're not admitting the fact that there is a loss. We go through anger. We feel angry. Bargaining. We try to bargain with the circumstances or with a higher power, with God, with the Creator. Depression, and then finally acceptance. But what if I told you that grief is not about chronological stages? It's not that you first in denial, and then you become angry, then you're bargaining, then you become depressed, then you finally accept. You go through those stages in waves. And what really shocked me as I was working as a therapist, that those stages of grief, 5 stages of grief, they can go absolutely sporadically. It's not just like you are in denial when you're experiencing loss. You can be angry first. You can have deep sense of acceptance that, yes, I lost what I loved. I lost an opportunity, a family member, and now it's not here anymore. Or you might go through depression. So even though there are 5 stages of grief, those stages, they're more like waves and not like chronological stages. A study shows that over time, probably 80% of people, they get over their grief. And the thing is, grief never goes away completely. Somehow, somewhere it still come to the surface, but it becomes more milder and milder, and you are learning the skills, you're learning the coping mechanisms to deal not with 5 stages of grief, but with 5 waves of grief. Probably 20% of people get in this mental space, spiritual space of stuckness that they can't just move forward for a very, very long time. So, if you are leaning into psychology and you're reading about grief, just understand that grief is not logical. It's not just chronological sequence of stages. It can be weird. It can come onto you from different angles, from different waves. So, also, as I mentioned before, grief will paralyze your decision-making process. For example, you know that you have to create marketing. You know that you have to show up. You know that you have to coach. And somehow, either you abandon your business, you don't feel inspired, you don't feel energy, or you feel just tired, you can't move anymore, or you start overworking because maybe you're craving the sense of control. And maybe the business that you have is the only thing that gives you the sense of control. And it's really important to stabilize yourself, to actually, instead of fighting the feeling of grief, a feeling of loss, is actually, it is important to process your emotion through your body. According to studies, and in my practice as well, it takes about 90 seconds to consciously accept your feeling and process it through your body. Either process it through your body or go through cognitive process when you're working through your feeling. I'm big fan of somatic therapy and acceptance and commitment therapy, and those components I'm also using with my clients, even in my coaching sessions, because we all experiencing those emotions. So it's really important to, like, when you are in a wave of grief, whether it is denial, whether it is anger, whether it is bargaining, depression, or even acceptance, to let it through. Let your emotion, not just through your head, not just cognitively, but also through your body. Move emotion through your body. And again, there are many somatic practices that you can practice. You can practice mindfulness. One of the somatic practices that I like to practice with myself, like to ground myself here and now. Like, first of all, understand where my feeling is in my body. And then, like, instead of fighting it, really understanding what that feeling does for me, and then ground myself in here and now, because often our emotions are taking us in undesirable past or in undesirable future. And what I do, I focus on 5 things that I can see around me, 3 things that I can hear, 1 thing that I can taste right now. And it really, really beneficial if you have a glass of water or a healthy snack that you can actually taste at the moment. And maybe 1 thing that you can smell, like maybe like a candle or a fragrance, like something that has a pleasant smell. And when you are really focusing on your body, on the here and now, surprisingly, it will calm your nervous system and it will help you to move your feeling further. Also, I promise you that we will talk about ego states. Ego states theory and ego states therapy was developed by Dr. Watkins. He was a therapist who was working with multiple personality disorders, but ego states is not just about multiple personality disorders. Ego states, imagine that for everything that you go in life, for every decision that you are making, through every state that you're going in life, happy or sad, you have a certain ego state that is present at that moment and responsible for that behavior. It's really important to understand that there are certain ego states that are wounded ego states that are not resourceful. And when we're going through grief, there might be multiple ego states that are affected by grief and loss. And it's really important to really tuning in into your body and really understand what those ego states are going through. The best practice for it, I will be honest with you, there's no really a good DIY process to work with ego states. I would recommend to work with either a coach or a therapist who is proficient in human psychology, in ego states therapy. And this is something that I've done in my practice as a therapist and as a coach when I walk my clients through each ego state that is not resourceful, and you can work with that particular ego state that is resourceful. So I will show you an example. For example, you are experiencing a really strong emotion. Again, you notice where it is in your body. You close your eyes, you're really tuning in with your body, and you start talking to that part of yourself like it is a person. And you start imagining it. And then just tune in into your body, tuning into your thoughts, what comes to your mind. Because sometimes wounded parts of ourselves, they want to communicate with us. They do want to communicate with us. It's also an essential component of parts therapy too. And just notice what that feeling, what that part of you that is maybe angry, maybe sad, maybe depressed or uninspired, what does it need right now? What function does it do right now? Because every emotion, every wave has a function that it performs in your conscious and subconscious mind. I find a wonderful way to work with ego states is through hypnotherapy, through hypnosis, because you're really passing through the conscious mind and you drop into subconscious, and it's really easy for you to drop into your body, to move your emotion through your body, establish healthy contract with your ego states. And also remember that all of us have what Dr. Lisa Miller would call the awakened awareness, higher wisdom. So maybe tune in and call on to your higher wisdom. And the higher wisdom is not God, it's not universe, and it's actually a higher version of yourself, of your consciousness. Just tune in and try to invoke that higher wisdom of yourself. And normally when you are talking to the higher version of yourself, to the higher wisdom of your conscious and subconscious mind, it might provide you either downloads, or you can just ask the higher wisdom to help you to navigate consciously or unconsciously those ego states that are wounded and help them heal. Again, this is not something that you fully navigate yourself if you're not well educated in psychotherapy or hypnotherapy. And I highly recommend to work with a therapist or with a person who is proficient in human psychology, hypnotherapy, or psychotherapy, and who has background in human and clinical psychology. But again, this is something that you can do in your meditation, before you're getting help or as you're seeking for guidance. I normally do it in really deep meditation state, and I literally talk to each part of me that is grieving and going through really difficult emotions, and I also notice where it is in my body. And if you're curious about it, please reach out to me on LinkedIn or on Instagram. I'm more than happy to talk to you about ego states, theory, ego states therapy, and help you and assist you with that, please share with me your story. Now, that's ego states. Now, let's talk about minimum viable business model. Listen, we all have tendency to overwork our business, to do more than we actually need to do in our business. So what I normally do, it requires a little bit of analysis, right? Make sure that you are in a good state. Maybe listen, and how do you change your state? Okay. Let's say therapist is not available, coach is busy, not answering. You need to make a decision right now. So you can listen to upbeat music that will put you in a really, really good state. You can use breathing exercises. One breathing exercise that is really, really simple. You can inhale for 5 and exhale for 11. For example, you're breathing and you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you exhaling for 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And you do it several times until you regulate your nervous system and you're actually in the place of calm. And now just sit down and look at your business calendar. What do you need to do to run your business? Minimum amount of leads that you need to reach out. Minimum amount of social media posts that you need to post. Normally, what I notice, 3 posts a week is more than enough. With how many people you need to engage, with how many people you need to reach out. And also, what really will help you to run minimum viable business is to have maximum profitable team. And again, not everybody is at the capacity or at the season of the business when they are willing or ready to hire people or have staff. When you have staff, you can actually delegate minimum viable activities to your staff, or if you have highly trained leaders in your business who can actually run your business, right? Your right hand, your left hand, your people who are responsible for marketing, for lead generation, you can actually fully offload those responsibility to them and decide where you are absolutely needed for your business. Maybe it's a few meetings, but maybe let's say you don't have a large team. Maybe it's just you and your virtual assistant. So you absolutely look at your numbers and look how many people you need to reach out to actually keep your business running. How many webinars, live streams, public presentations you need to perform every single month to keep your business profitable, and keep it at that. And I will break it down day by day. For example, my minimum viable Monday is just to respond to inquiries and emails and do very, very minimum client work. And then the rest of the day, I take care of myself, move your body, because like nothing else, physical activity helps to process those emotions too, especially when you're grieving. And I know sometimes you don't feel like it, but a little exercise, light exercises, walk in a park, walk in nature will actually activate your nervous system and regulate your nervous system. And not only that, walk in the nature also activates your awakened awareness when you actually connect with a higher source, with the divine, regardless if you're praying or not. It's actually backed up by study, and Dr. Lisa Miller, clinical psychologist, showed that study in her book, The Awakened Brain. So wonderful book. Highly recommend to read it. Like it will just bless you. So, and when you're not doing your work, make sure that you schedule self-care, self-love activities. What does it look like? It's not just going to a spa. It's not just doing something enjoyable. Maybe it's just doing nothing. Maybe it is just unstructured time. Listen, I have ADHD, and the biggest love that I can show to myself is actually have allocated time when I have unstructured time to do whatever I want. It can be a podcast, it can be watching a movie, it can be just scrolling through videos that brings me joy and that bring me joy. This is the minimum viable business. Determine each day of the week what needs to be done. For Tuesday, for example, I released my podcast episode. And also, if you're running a podcast or live stream, determine how essential for you to run your podcast, to run your live streams in this season. Like maybe if you go live every single week, maybe you can go live every other week. Maybe you can go live like once a month. Maybe you can upload your podcast once a month, once every 2 months, right? Minimum viable business. But again, there's no magic formula that I can give you in this episode because I don't see the numbers from your business. You see the numbers of your business. Your numbers tells you story, and you follow that story and you implement minimum viable business so you keep your profits floating in your business, flowing in your business, but also you're showing yourself love and compassion, and you're navigating the season until you are back at full capacity. Now, let's talk about preventative maintenance, because you don't know when the next season in your business or in your life might hit you. I always tell business owners, as soon as you are in capacity to actually start hiring the team, start hiring the A team. Ideally, you want to be in a position when your business runs itself. If you can hire people, systems, install automation in your business as much as possible. Also, document every single process, because what you don't want to do when you're grieving, when you are in the thick of it, is to actually think, what do you need to do? Create standard procedures of operation, SOPs. So with that, when you are in the thick of it, when you are going through really big emotions, what you need to do is just open the document and follow the steps. Again, it will come from your business, from your success, because success leaves clues. And if you are in a season when everything is going and when everything is flowing, make sure to document what actually working in your business and what you can implement in your business right here, right now. And when you're navigating the storm, all you need to do is just follow SOPs. Also, hiring winning team. Listen, your business is not for you to keep. Your profits are not just for you to keep. Your profits and your business is to bless other people by providing them employment, by hiring Team A players. And this is essential. And this is, you hire A players in your team. You hand them your standard procedures of operations, SOPs. You have very clear key performance indicators, KPIs, so they know how good looks like. You train them to run your business, to make executive decisions for your business so your business can keep running itself. And not only it is beneficial for the time of loss and grief and really going through tough emotions, and it's also beneficial when you feel like you outgrew your offer and you want to do something else and you want to pivot, but you don't know if that pivot is going to be successful. Guess what? You have a winning team who is running business for you, and your business is profitable. And if that pivot is not working, what you can do, just fall back into a business that is operating at full capacity, fully profitable, running on its own, and just run that business. So that is preventative maintenance. Okay, we cover a lot of stuff today. So, quickly recap. So, first of all, understanding grief. Grief is not just about a loss of a loved one or a loss of person. Grief can happen when you lose opportunity, loss of business, divorce, breakups. That all can cause grief. Grief is not about just 5 stages of grief. Grief is rather 5 waves of grief, and it's essential to navigate all of those 5 waves in a healthy manner. Utilize your ego states. I highly recommend to work with either a therapist or a coach who is proficient in clinical psychology or in human psychology and proficient in therapeutic methods or certified in certain therapeutic methods who can actually help you. And often, coaching is not a substitute for therapy. It is good to have both. It is good to have a therapist when you navigate really deep emotions, and you have your coach. And I always advocate for coaches who have professional education in human psychology, who can understand what you're going through. Also, minimum viable business. Understand your numbers and run minimum viable business, because when you're going through grief, when you're going through a loss, it's probably not the best time to grow your business or max out your activities. It's really about maintaining your profit, maintaining profitable, keeping your business as you're healing and navigating your emotions. And preventative maintenance is all about automating your business, having clear, documented procedures, standardized procedures. Your business should be standardized. And eventually, hiring a winning team. Or if you have a team, reconsider your team. Make sure that you hire a player team. Now, I do have an announcement. I am opening 4 spots in my private mentorship program, Build the Way You Love. It is 6 months coaching program, and this time I'm running it a little bit differently, because after years in number of clients that I work with, there's one thing that I understand really clearly. It's not just about strategy, and it's about your psychological alignment, removing your psychological blocks. Because listen, any strategy can work. And if you're being in any coaching program, you know that those strategies work, but it's about regulating your nervous system, removing psychological blocks. Work with ego states. It's not just about navigating loss. It's about optimizing your sales process, because there are ego states that are responsible for your sales. There are ego states that are responsible for your marketing. There are ego states that are responsible for your strategies. And when you have fully integrated in the world inside of you, it is actually easy for you to implement sales and business strategy, business systems that are standard, that are reliable, because you have reliable nervous system. And in my clients, when I work with my clients, whenever I witness my clients either sabotage their offer or something is not working, it's not because they're not capable. It is because they're either operating from wounded ego state, and that ego state would prevent them to either execute the strategy or execute the strategy incorrectly, or there are somatic and subconscious blockages in their mind, in their body, that needs to be moved first. Because until you release your blockages, no strategy will work for you. And this is a new addition in my high performance coaching program. We're dealing with psychology and alignment first. We're utilizing human psychology, spiritual psychology, hypnotherapy, and deep meditation framework, when we can actually access your subconscious directly and give you healing tool that you can actually run successful business from the place of healing from the place of prosperity, from the place of freedom, and not overworking from the place of trauma. If it is something that you're considering, if you're into personal development, if you're into aligned business strategies, and you are craving one-on-one work with a coach, especially a coach who has background in clinical psychology. I do have a degree. I work as a therapist. I know human psychology really well. And all of the techniques that I show you today, I am actually utilizing with my clients. All you need to do is apply for my mentorship program. The link is in the description for this episode. Also, if you have questions, anything about what I talk about in this episode, please send me a DM on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye, y'all.